Ghislaine Maxwell sentenced to 20 years in prison for sex trafficking minor girls for Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison Tuesday for carrying out a years-long scheme with her longtime confidant Jeffrey Epstein to groom and sexually abuse underage girls. Maxwell, 60, did not testify in her defense during the trial late last year, which ended with her conviction on 5 counts, including sex trafficking of a minor. But on Tuesday she spoke in court to the victim shortly before the sentence was handed down. "Jeffrey Epstein should have been here before all of you," Maxwell said at the podium, her legs shackled. "Jeffrey Epstein should have been here before all of you." Maxwell, Epstein's former girlfriend, acknowledged that she had been convicted in the sex trafficking scheme but stopped short of taking responsibility. "I am sorry for the pain that you've experienced," Maxwell said. "I hope my conviction brings you closure." Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell sits with her defense lawyer Christian Everdale during her sentencing hearing in a courtroom sketch on June 28. Prosecutors had asked the judge to sentence Maxwell to 30 to 55 years in prison, while the probation department recommended 20 years. Maxwell's attorneys requested a more lenient sentence of between 4.25 and 5.25 years in prison. Judge Allison Nathan calculated that the sentencing guidelines called for about 15.5 to 19.5 years in prison. Yet she delivered a sentence slightly above that range, noting the victim's disturbing testimony and Maxwell's direct and repeated participation in a horrific scheme. "Miss Maxwell is not punished in place of Epstein," she said. "Miss Maxwell is not punished in place of Epstein." Nathan also said Maxwell failed to accept responsibility for her role in the crimes or show remorse. "Today's sentence will attempt to acknowledge the harm that Ms. Maxwell has caused," Nathan said. The 20-year sentence represents a pivotal moment in an international sex trafficking case that stretched over decades and exemplified the ways that the rich and powerful can avoid, or, at least, delay, consequences for their actions. Maxwell was also sentenced to 5 years of supervised release and a $750,000 fine, which her attorney said she is unable to pay. The judge said she will be sent to a federal prison in Danbury, Connecticut. Epstein, who pleaded guilty in 2008 to state prostitution charges, was indicted on federal sex trafficking charges in July 2019 but died by suicide in prison a month later. Maxwell has been detained since her arrest in July 2020, and prosecutors said she received credit for 2 years of time served. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams praised the sentence and thanked the victims for testifying. "Today's sentence holds Ghislaine Maxwell accountable for perpetrating heinous crimes against children," he said. "Today's sentence holds Ghislaine Maxwell accountable for perpetrating heinous crimes against children." However, defense attorney Bobby Sternheim said Maxwell planned to appeal the conviction and, as she did during the trial, push the blame onto Epstein. "We all know that the person who should have been sentenced today escaped accountability, avoided his victims, avoided absorbing their pain and receiving the punishment he truly deserved," Sternheim said. Jeffrey Epstein left Ghislaine Maxwell holding the whole bag.